most talked about controversial topics today is gender inequality. Many believe that since worse things are happening, this needs to be swept under the rug. Although it may not need to be our country's top priority, it needs to be addressed and fixed. If this problem were to be handled, it would better unify us as a nation and equip us to deal with our other issues as a whole. Women should not be held to unfair sexist standards in how they dress and how they act and in their professions. In today's society, it seems to be more and more acceptable to blame women for being sexually assaulted. Many will say women dress themselves in a manner that proposes that they might be asking for the crimes committed against them. This is implanted in the heads of children when they begin attending school, and young girls are told that what they wear to school must be appropriate for boys. In the daughter's dress code, teens today are being told by school administration and teachers that wearing tank tops or skirts that are too short is distracting boys, and girls today are fed up with it. Instead of telling women that they need to dress a certain way to keep boys from having bad grades, why not teach the boys to stay focused on their work and stop sexualizing shoulders and kneecaps? Learning in school that it is a girl's fault for what boys do is now becoming a frequent excuse of why a man may rape a woman. This may seem extreme, but it is mind-blowing how many women have come forth to report a rape and were asked what they were wearing as though it matters. In how school dress codes shame girls and perpetuate rape culture, when a school takes the decision to police female student bodies while turning a blind eye to the boys' behavior, it sets up a lifelong assumption that sexual violence is inevitable and victims are partially responsible. It is astounding how in 2015, the stifling different expectations of women over men are still so present. We as a nation have legalized gay marriage, legalized marijuana in some states, and even have a very famous transgender man receiving awards for being so brave. Through all this change, still, if a woman makes a mistake of getting drunk and sleeping with a man she does not know, she is shamed past any understanding, while a man can do the exact same thing, and people understand and some even congratulate him. The women cadets of the United States in Women's International Network News, who are putting their lives on the line for the people of America, are being hushed, and some are even being reassigned for reporting sexual assaults against men cadets. The committee who gave these women their punishment said the women were drunk and partying, and the accusations were probably an aftermath shame of sleeping with someone. This should outrage anyone that heard it, but that is the problem. No one hears of these kinds of stories. This, like many other incidents, have been silenced. People do not hear all the women being called ungodly names and being harassed by men on the news because this is not a frontline story, it is the usual. Society has essentially accommodated to rapists by giving them something to fall back on, which is if they see a drunken woman walking home, she is fair game, because they should not be acting that way anyways. One place women feel the most unfairly treated is at work. Some of the smartest engineers, lawyers, and doctors are women, but they are still not paid or credited as well as their male co-workers. Both men and women should be paid based on how well they do their jobs and not on their gender. This seems like a simple, obvious request, but instead women are getting underrated for their hard work. Anahita Saudry in the Fixing Code was a programmer at the International IT Company and was one of very few women workers there. Although she was a genius programmer and had been very successful, she still faced a daily battle of not being taken seriously and her work being overlooked. One of her male co-workers that had tested her programs had repeatedly rejected her work without even testing it. Saudry is one of a million women that face this with all different kinds of professions. In so many instances, a woman has put everything she had in a job and has been shut down. This is absurd and should not be happening, but how do we stop something that is so socially accepted? Even in Hollywood, the most popular actresses are getting paid a large amount less than their actors. In Matthew Weiner's Wrong, for as much buzz as Jennifer Lawrence gets, with an Oscar win, a devoted fan base, and a beloved franchise under her belt, she still made $12 million less in 2013 than her American Hustle co-star Bradley Cooper. This may seem like a petty problem, considering that these people are making enough to get by times 10, but it is the principle that these women of such preeminence are still being overpowered by a workforce full of bigots who refuse to come to the terms that women should be taken just as seriously as men.